Welcome back to the JMG studio here in Jerusalem, Israel. Last time we were explaining about a project that we're in the middle of and how we did all of the in-studio setup. And this time we're going to talk about how the control room is set up and how we're utilizing that for this project in cool ways. So our studio here is basically a vMix based system. So the top computer here is a pretty high spec X series Windows computer with a bunch of DeckLink inputs. It's all 4K compatible, so as it's configured now, we have 5 4K inputs and 1 hardware 4K output at the same time. And then, of course, a bunch of those can be reconfigured to other things if needed. So we have all of our cameras from the other room coming into here. So we'll switch between those live for the people that are participating in these events on Zoom. And then vMix is also doing all the routing of things like the chat to the screen for the rabbi where he can see the Zoom chat, or for him to be able to interact with people one-on-one from the Zoom. We're using vMix for that, and I can explain more about that. But just setup-wise, so that's mostly what this center computer is doing. And then we have a second computer in here, which is like a current gen i7 with a pretty high spec system, and that's running the Zoom for the screen capture. So right now the gallery view doesn't have much in it, but when this is populated with hundreds of people, then we'll have all the gallery view, and that's what's going out to the rabbi for his screen, so he can interact with people, ask them to raise their hands if they're understanding, or to, you know, get people to participate in meditation, which is a lot of what he's doing. He wants to be able to see lots of people and see if they're getting into it, so that he knows how to guide things by, like, in real time, being able to really see and interact with the people. And he also asks people to write in the chat pretty often, and then interacts with that on the big screen there. So this is all just being screen captured and sent into vMix, where we're then just taking a crop of the Zoom chat here. And here's the gallery view capture, and they're both coming from that computer. So the other thing that this computer is doing is it's running our projection mapping. We're using a software called HeavyM to do the projection mapping. So that's, I've got mapped out in 3D here, this wall, and the floor, because that's where the projector hits in the other room. And then I can put different sources on the different surfaces pretty easily. I have a bunch of presets built in here. So you could see up here, I could change to our meditation background. I've got my Kabbalistic artwork, and I could even pull up a video feed. That could be a PowerPoint, that could be somebody on Zoom having a conversation, like our camera guy in the webcam here. Right, so we could put anything that we want into a window on the wall there pretty quickly and easily. And you could see right here from the wide shot camera that's in the studio, when I push these buttons, here's what it looks like through the camera. So here's the meditation background, here's the Kabbalistic artwork background, here's what that window on the wall, that again is just showing us filming this right now, but would generally be a PowerPoint or somebody on Zoom or something like that. So the third computer in this room is a Mac Mini, and this is usually our teleprompter computer. For this project, this is running Zoom also, and this is like the Zoom host computer. So this is where we're actually interacting with people through the chat, or where we're letting people in from the waiting room, or we're doing any kind of like muting and unmuting, that kind of stuff. So this is the one that's really controlling the Zoom itself, whereas the other computer is just on Zoom and watching Zoom. So the way that we're getting what we're doing here in the studio into Zoom is utilizing the vMix and Zoom integration that was added fairly recently. So what that allows us to do is bring in a few different instances of bringing in a single person from Zoom, right? So here I have selected my other computer here with its webcam. So I could bring that in as a single source within vMix, which then lets me utilize it for things like building this layout for the rabbi to have a one-on-one discussion with somebody on Zoom who has a question or needs help with something. Or when he's doing the meditation sessions, we have 4 different inputs set up, so then I could bring up 4 different people while they're doing the meditations, and we could see those 4 people interacting and doing the meditation, and while the rabbi's doing the guiding of the meditation in the middle. So this is what the people on Zoom would see, and of course we're recording that. And then on the rabbi's screen, which we can see a representation here of what's going out to the big LCDs in the other room for the rabbi, but there I could bring up also an overlay of one single person for him to have an interaction with, or I could bring up those 4 people that we'd selected for the meditation segment. So for the people on Zoom, they'll see this Cosmos background and the rabbi talking, and then for the rabbi, he'll see those same 4 people just overlaid on top of the Zoom gallery. And we have buttons down here on the Stream Deck to switch everything that happens within those screens. So on the rabbi's LCD, we could have just the Zoom gallery. We could have the Zoom gallery plus 1 person for him to interact with, plus those 4 people. I could also change what the background is if we wanted it to be on a graphic instead of the Zoom gallery. And then I have another row of buttons here, which is switching a second mix. So when we're in this picture-in-picture view, or when we're in this picture-in-picture view, we can still utilize the multi-camera switching. So we could, within those windows, we could switch between our different angles, separate from our main switching, which would put those cameras going out to Zoom. Right, so our main switch that's going out to Zoom would be on this layout or this layout, but then within that we could still switch which camera feed we're getting. The other stuff that we have set up on the Stream Deck here is like our talkback button to go to the rabbi's in-ear headset, so we could talk directly to him if he needs to fix something with his wardrobe, or if we need an extra moment to bring up the person on Zoom, anything like that. We have main switching buttons here, although these are just a backup for the other switcher I'll show you in a second. I've got my meditation music fade in and out over here, and then I've got my master mutes for the rabbi's sound and for the Zoom sound. And then up here I've got my projection mapping controls. So I've got 2 versions because I have 2 different masks depending if the rabbi's sitting in his seat or walking around. And then I have each of my different backgrounds, even some that at this point they've said they don't really want to use, but I haven't deleted the keys for them yet because I imagine we'll come up with another option later, and then I'll have the buttons ready to go for it. So everything that you saw happening on those 2 Stream Deck XLs was run by Companion. Also, we have here a Stream Deck 15 key that right now is just being used for talkback for the person sitting at the Zoom station to also be able to talk to the rabbi. And then over here in our audio / director area, we have a Stream Deck Mini that also has those talkback buttons, and then also has some other buttons just to change what's showing on this top screen. What we have running within Companion, though, is almost every piece of equipment that we have here in the studio setup. So we have it connected to the lighting control software, to the audio mixer, to our 3 HyperDeck recorders that are in the rack, to the vMix, to this NDI monitor software running here, to our HDMI matrix, to the projector itself, and to controlling HeavyM for the projection mapping. So even just what I showed on there, those buttons are controlling the Soundcraft audio mixer if it's the talkback or the master mute related stuff. They're talking to vMix for pulling up the layouts and the switching. They're talking to HeavyM for doing the projection mapping. We could integrate lighting changes with projection screen changes all on the same button, controlling multiple devices at once. And that's just for this project. Obviously for other things also, it's a very versatile system. Lets everything talk to everything else, and it lets us build a lot of automation into the productions here so that things can run very efficiently with multiple buttons, with multiple actions happening per button. So this desk is usually our audio station when we have bigger productions with lots of people, lots of microphones going on in the studio. This is where our dedicated audio guy will sit. So we have here on this touch screen the interface for our Soundcraft UI 24R audio mixer. We also have a Behringer X Touch extender that's running through the UI 24 Bridge software. which we're very thankful for, and I'll shout out the guy who made that in the description of the video. So if you happen to have a Soundcraft UI-24 and a Behringer X-Touch or X-Touch extender, you can put the two together and it works pretty darn well. And it's automated in both directions, so that's really cool. And of course, we can also pull up the controls for the audio mixer over on the other touch screen on the far end there, so if it's a small production just with one person running it, they can still get to all the audio controls over there, which is a big part of why we wanted this style of mixer. For this production, because it's only one microphone, the person sitting here is managing the Rabbi's microphone, but also mostly what they're doing is switching the cameras. So they've got a multi-view from vMix up here, they can see all the camera angles, and then they have this TYST vMix mini controller that's connected to that computer. So from here, then they can switch between all the different camera angles or between the different layouts that we have for the Zoom participants to be sent back out to Zoom, but within the graphic layouts. And then he also has, for when it is in one of these layouts, he has a second set of buttons up here that can switch between those camera angles within that second ME mix. So you could have this in program on the one ME, and then using those buttons, you can switch the second ME. So right now, that's what this station is doing for this project. This has been a really fun project for us. We've really enjoyed working with Elevation Project again. It's been a really cool use of our studio. It's really cool to see like other designers come in and develop a vision in our space, and to see it realized in there. That's really cool. And now we're going to go in there and take it all apart and put it back to our normal setup. And we have everything marked, of course, and measured, so we know how to build this again once they're ready to do some more episodes of this. But it's been really fun, and we've had a good time exploring the possibilities of what you could do with vMix, with the new Zoom integration, with the recent versions adding more and more outputs, which, because we have the computers that can handle it, have let us do things like power all those screens in the other room directly from vMix, so we can get the delay of people on Zoom to be extremely low for the Rabbi's experience, which has been important for him because he's trying to have real interactions with people. So to keep the path as direct as possible from the person being on Zoom to getting in front of him has kept that delay down, which has helped him feel more at home, like he could really communicate with people in a realistic kind of way. So it's been really fun exploring the technology, learning HeavyM to be able to utilize the projection mapping, and the guys from HeavyM have also been really great to work with in problem solving and trying to figure out how to do what we're trying to do here. So we look forward to showing you another future setup for a different project. Thanks for joining us. Please make sure to like and get subscribed for more interesting setups for more interesting projects here at the JMG studio. Let's go take all this apart, I guess.